So, this will be a message for those of you in the path of ascension. For those of you who have had your awakening and it's kind of like got you to hit the ground running with resolving, with ascending, with doing your healing, going through situations that you are soul contracted on, right? That your soul contract was to experience. It will bring you the events, the situations, the people, everything that's going to push all the buttons, that's going to like create all the havoc and all the chaos to get you to awaken to your true nature, to get you to experience the initiations you're meant to in order to grow and fulfill your spiritual destiny, if you like. Now, it's not fun. It's not a fun process. And it's such a beautiful word, the word ascension, but essentially just like awakening, right? Awakening is part of the ascension process. It is a bloody difficult thing to experience in life. Let's not beat around the bush around this. And here's the thing, what I want to say with this message, which I think is one of my most important messages I've ever left online or anywhere. It's going to take, we know that it's going to take a lot of courage to create anything in life, let alone when you're on a path of ascension, because that level of certainty that, say, for somebody maybe who is a little bit more kind of not in that path, right? That level of certainty, it's not really there in the same way. You know, there's so much change. There's so much like destruction and rebirth going on as part of the process, right? Not all of it is bad, but there's a lot of like endings and beginning. There's a lot of false structures falling apart, false relationships. There's so much like false conditioning that comes to the surface. You breaking through barriers constantly. And it's an exhausting process to go through. So of course it takes a lot of courage. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to want to choose, on top of everything that's going on, to actually create, build, and plant things that you want as your projects, as your, you know, anything related to your life, your career, your passions, your dreams, your mission, your even relationships. So how do we go about it? You know, because it can feel so scary. You need the courage to want to do it. But what I was going to say, and what I feel is important to understand, is that the soil where you're planting your seeds might not be quite where you expect it to be or how you expect it to be. Like, you don't need to necessarily be in a space of absolute certainty or absolute lack of change or lack of movement or lack of that sort of death and rebirth process. The soil, it's not an actual physical space. The soil where you plant is actually really dependent on the sacred space that you create in your life amidst the destruction and the rebirth, amidst the things falling apart and rising again, new things happening, amidst the old cycles closing, the new beginning, amidst the deterioration of relationships and the beginning of new ones. And I really think that we need to start looking at things energetically a lot more in order to understand how this thing works and how we're going to work with it in a way that's going to really help us really plant those seeds and see those seeds grow. Because the moment you plant the seeds, it doesn't matter what happens to you. What does affect it, though, is that, you know, because it's going to be changed. Like the weather. Have you seen the weather? In nature, what it does? Have you seen the cataclysmic kind of aspect of nature, the wrath of nature, and obviously the beauty of nature and the beauty of seasons like spring? You know, you see that in nature being depicted all the time. So the sacred space is all about how protective you are of your own energy, of your own self, as you navigate through those phases of endings and beginnings, destruction and rebirth, and everything that your soul contracted to experience as part of your awakening. And through the sacred space you create, it really matters the way you take care of your energy, right? It's not just about intention. Sacred space really means that this is so valuable to me, you know, that I'm going to really take care of it in a way that it really needs to. So it's about taking care of your energy, working through your own fears, transmutation, getting into a process, getting into shadow work, allowing yourself also, it's not just about the difficult stuff, it's also about the difficult stuff, like some people really, we're so used to the gritty stuff, we don't know how to do the other stuff, which is lean into the new thing that we're creating, being able to have the vision to see it grow into something beautiful. If you're planting and you're watering and you're transmuting, but you're not able to hold the vision of this becoming something beautiful, that being able to grow, again, is going to be hard for that to, to grow in a way it needs to. It's like a child, right? So the child needs the belief from the parents. You see what's happened to so many of us who didn't have that belief of our parents, who they didn't know how to lean into believing something good will come out of it, or knowing how to nurture with that love, tender care, that encouragement that comes from believing in that thing becoming something beautiful. So that takes all of those things, but it's not the soil. Don't look for the soil in the things that are dead, in the dead certainty, in you securing something that is not meant for you. Your ascension process will show you everything fake in your life, from the people, the situations, the experiences, the career things that you choose. Everything will come to the surface. That's the whole point. So if you're going through the ascension process, it's only because you've kind of asked for it in a way. Your soul was contracted to experience an ascension process, and you've sort of gone into the process of awakening, not knowing what you were getting into. And then it just all got served onto your life, right? So it's not in the dead things. The soil, it's not in the dead things. You find it amidst the change, and it will be fertile soil, because fertile soil is fresh soil. It's not like I'm learning a lot about energy and everything I'm kind of teaching through just having a garden and realizing things like something stopped growing because the soil needed changing the year after, right? So there was no certainty, the certainty of having the same soil, even though I watered it, I gave it food, because they need their own food. It wasn't growing. Some of my plants, my lemon tree in particular, and then I got a second lemon tree with the same understanding I had, trying to do it. And then I was wise enough to ask a gardener. Like, I went to my garden center and said, this is happening to my lemon tree, and I got a second lemon tree, and I've got lemon tree food, and I take care of it and I water it consistently as it needs to. So but do you give it the soil that it needs? What do you mean? I said, do you give it lemon tree soil? Did you know that lemon trees need their own soil? Because I grew up in Greece and I knew my parents had a lemon tree and they did not change the soil in the garden. So apparently they need their own soil. But guess what that does? They say, change the soil every year. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So there's a lot of things we don't know we can ask, and find out, I guess, like I did. So I would say the growth is in the change. It's not in creating false sense of security in the things that are not meant to work for us. You can hold on to dear life on those things that are not meant to work for us, and they just won't work. They won't be, the conditions we need. I experienced a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change as a single mom. I've lost my home when I was younger. Well, when I was pregnant, actually, for a while. And I went through so much change, so many moves in that year that I was pregnant. I had just got a new part-time job. I had to move again. The moment I gave birth, 2 weeks after I was told we needed to move. I was out, stitched up in the winter just before Christmas, going to do viewings for houses, with a tiny baby. It was just insane, some of the things. And here's the thing, I've learned to ride the waves. It taught me incredible things and skills to learn to not hold on too tight to what I think security is. And that actually I've managed to, it just meant that I had to get really super, super clear and super intentional in creating sacred space around my baby at the time and my own life, so that it gives it that sort of stability, even though my life was so uncertain at the time and I had to make so many changes and nobody would house me. I didn't have the income they wanted and all those kind of things. So bear that in mind when your life goes upside down that actually it could be that it's exactly the time when the seeds need to be planted. It might not be that you go into full-on gardening mode, but it could be, but that's when you will need to keep the vision of the seeds as strong as ever, if not even more, because the challenge is presenting to you the opportunity to really stay really strong in your desires, in your dreams, in your mission, in what's of value to you. Yeah, because this is not just about work and career. This is about anything you're building. And to know that actually might be at that time of change that the soil is the most fertile, and it's not a physical space. It's an energetic space. That's why how you handle your energy, how you transmute your fears, which is a daily job, guys, daily job. How long you choose to wallow in the difficulty, but also really engaging with the healing that you need to experience, right? That we all need to experience, engaging in it, right? Because nobody is like saved from it. We all need to go through our healing. And then knowing when it's time to kind of keep on going and keep on choosing what is important to you, it's going to take courage. But it's not a physical space, the soil. And it's an energetic space. And you have that with you. And every time you have your death and you have your rebirth, that's the best soil to plant from.